So we're back over on the other bench. Got the motherboard obviously laying here. Power's hooked up, keyboard, speaker, the external battery for the CMOS backup is clipped on, but it's not hooked up, so there's no power on it. And I guess we'll toggle the power here. Well, nothing exploded. So that's potentially a good sign. Let's put some memory back in it. I know it won't post without some amount of RAM in it. I went through this yesterday as I was testing all the RAM sticks I picked up for a $1 a stick down at the local recycler. He happened to have a whole box full of them. I dug hoping to find 1 meg or 4 meg, and it was hard to tell with some of them, and looked for what appeared to be matched sets, and luckily the 4 I'm now putting in were 1 meg sticks, so that gets 1 meg on the board. Let me drop in a video card. And please post. Yep, it's posting. There it is. Beautiful. Okay. So let me put the other 256K sticks in. We'll get this guy back up to 5 meg of memory. Boy, I remember when I got to 4 meg on my 386 machine in the early 90s. And I was rocking. Really wish I'd have had that the camera on during that quick test after putting the RAM back in. So top of all the sticks are flush. I don't remember the parameters for the hard drive that I've got, so we can get the CMOS set back up. And it's posting. F1. This is a 1.44 meg floppy, 1.2 hard drive, I think 16383. The number of cylinders. Heads was 16. And the sectors is 63. Well, that's a good sign. At least we're getting this far. So there should be a floppy controller failure here. I don't have a controller on the machine at the moment. Now, I'm not going to wait for it to time out. Oh, I didn't turn the backup battery on. Actually hooked to a power supply, so I just lost the CMOS settings I put in. So let's get the power supply fired up. It's still set to 6 volts, which is what the manual said to set it to. And I'll set the CMOS up again. F1. Type 47, 16383, 16 heads, 63 sectors. This is a 1.44 meg floppy. This is a 1.2 meg floppy. F10. It shows, yep, 5 megabytes of RAM, Anyhow, the next step here is to get this stack of drives restacked. I really got to come up with a case to mount all of these. Get the controller where I can plug it in. In this case, the floppy cable's the limitation for length. I don't think that needs the double twist in it. Not that it would have mattered. Hopefully it'll boot from the DOS 4 that was installed on the hard drive previously. And there it is. So we're at least back to this configuration. So where I'm headed to now with this is I'm not sure why I was even trying to put Windows 98 on the machine. I don't know if it's even capable of supporting it. I thought back to when I had a similar machine to this, and of course I was running Windows 3.11. And so I got on the web, as I always do, and did some digging. And I found DOS 622 floppy images, so I've got DOS 622 full version, which should be installable. I've got Windows 3.11 floppy set. Again, found those images on the web. CD-ROM driver. Hold it up here, you can see it. CD-ROM drivers. Something called DOS idle and Win idle. I'm not exactly sure what these are. And then the Sound Blaster 16 drivers are on this DVD. So I'm hoping through all of this I can get the thing to run. And I happen to have, in the stuff I've collected here, it is a Sound Blaster card. I don't know if it's a 16 or not. I have to look it up. It's a CT2550, it looks like, or maybe 2950. I don't know. It's obviously a 16-bit card, so maybe I can get lucky here and have this card work. I guess we'll find out. So, anyhow, let's see if we can get DOS 622 on here. Sorry about the jerkiness with the camera. Trying to get the screen as easy to read as I can for you guys. So I've got the DOS floppies here. Let's start DOS 622. Install and see if we can actually get a decent version of DOS on the machine. Well, it's accessing the floppy. I always forget how slow floppies are. Wow, this is doing its thing. I'm going to slide over here and grab my coffee. I've still got to find a serial mouse. Surprised I don't have one here someplace. Well, that's a good sign. To set up MS-DOS now, press enter. Oh, good Lord. F-disk on here. So I want to delete the current DOS partition because it said, oh, DOS is already installed. Oh, I want to delete partition 1. Now this is a much later version of FDisk, so it's building in more protections than it did in 4.0. Should now be no partitions, and it should believe now there's no previous version of DOS installed. I can say I'm very happy that replacing that cap. The machine wasn't fried, it shouldn't have been. But another quick little example of the proper tools make that kind of work easy. This is a fairly thin motherboard. I don't know how many layers it is. It's not like some of the mega thick motherboards they make today, so it was pretty easy to remove that cap and drop in a new one. So we're, as you can see, starting MS-DOS again. Try to get this framed a little better. Yes, I want to learn more. Configure unallocated disk space. And we restart. In the late 1980s, early 1990s, I'm not sure exactly the time frame, I was still working at National Semiconductor, and we were a very heavy VAX shop, running a product called Workstream that was used to control the factory, track all the chips being made in the factory and everything going on in there. And we were starting to move away from doing all our analytics on the VAXs to bringing PCs in. And we brought in a number of PCs. There was an original IBM 5150 with a CGA monitor that another team had actually gotten, but we started to integrate DOS machines into the environment, and we pretty quickly jumped on Windows 3.1.1. Ran a thin wire Ethernet, I believe, for all the networking. Eventually got the PCs on the network. Eventually Excel came in, and we were doing analytics in Excel. We were on the VAX running a product from BBN called RS1 that was a big statistical analysis package. Hopefully I'm not boring you too much here. That we used to analyze all the data from Workstream, like all the data from the manufacturing data, and then all the test data. We did both parametric and functional tests in the factory. I'm going to call the date time good enough. We're going to place it on CDOS. And so it was interesting to start to move data out of a large statistical analysis package running on a VAX cluster down to Excel on PCs. This is copying files. So I have fond memories back then, and less than fond memories. Could never get the ODBC drivers to get over to the VAXs to work in Windows, but they worked fine in DOS. I eventually wrote some software that when you were trying to do you could define a SQL statement in the engine I wrote, and then it would chain out or call out to the database engine, return your data as a CSV, and import it into Excel. And I ended up, and this was all in Windows 3.1, I actually ended up creating a command shell and running the commands in the command shell to make the connection and return the CSV file, then dropping back into Windows 3.1.1. You could load it into Excel. So this would have been late 80s, maybe into the early 90s. I don't remember the exact time frame. A friend of mine named Ricky and I just did a ton of development back then. Did a lot of C programming. I did a bit of Pascal and Fortran. Worked in languages called ATL30, ATL77, and Zental, which people who recognize those names will know what they are. They were languages for testing computer chips. We made EEPROMs. So I'm babbling on here. I'm going to let this continue installing. I'll come back and we'll start the camera in a bit and see where we get to. Now the first two floppies have loaded, We're on to floppy 3 for the install. I think we're going to hopefully, assuming this disk works, actually get DOS 622 on the machine, which pleases me. Yeah, IBM DOS 4.0. Not a huge fan. Well, it's reading the floppy. Be interesting to jump in with F-disk error and see if I can create a second partition. I think it's a 15 gigabyte drive, and I know we're not going to be able to consume 15 gigabytes under DOS. At least that's my belief. I've been proven wrong enough times in this project that MSAV, is that Microsoft antivirus? I have no idea. It's crazy to me thinking back about viruses in this era. They did exist. I wonder if I've got a serial to PS2 mouse adapter here someplace. I've got a couple new old stock PS2 mice. Mouse? I'd be pleased as punch if this finishes. I wonder if people actually sat and read these splash screens while they were installing stuff. Come on, little machine, finish up so we can boot you and see bootable DOS 622. Yeah, sorry I didn't have the camera rolling when that tantalum cap cut loose. That would have been a fun bit of video. Typical tantalum cap failure, nice loud pop, sparks in every direction, bit of smoke, me jumping back at about 100 miles an hour. Always entertaining. Well, it's just finishing up. Well, this pleases me. It looks like all three of the disk images that I got were good. Just watch it blow up right here. As I said that, remove all disks from floppies and restart. Ah, that's a good sign. That's an even better sign. This will be the first true test of the high mem. Excellent. Looks like it created a 500 meg partition again. Yeah, 504 meg. Let's see if we can create an extended. So it looks like the biggest disk it can still deal with is only 500 meg. That's interesting. So that may mean adding a second hard drive. It's a shame to take a 15 gig drive and use 500 meg of it, but limitation of DOS. So now we can move on to the Windows disks, which should be interesting. So, disk 1, Windows 3.1.1. I'm assuming there's a setup on here. I haven't done this for ages. Yup. Setup exe. Windows for Workgroups 3.1.1. To run Express setup, press Enter. I'm just going to take the Express this time. It's amazing how long the stylus setup survived in Microsoft operating systems. You really see even the same thing today, just not done in text. But I guess if a paradigm works, get the setup files on the hard drive, run them from there. I'm hoping to get my complete development environment set up here, Watcom C. All the tools I wrote and everything for simple game development. Be fun to get that all working on here again, being able to run some of the demos we wrote. Well, I'll let this keep chugging along. I'll check in with bits of video as it moves and see where we end up. Well, floppy 2 has loaded and we've got into the Windows setup screen. Is it really going to need a company name? I'm doing this without a mouse. I do have a very old school PS2 mouse here. New old stock. Picked up a few of them on eBay way back when. Currently looking for a serial adapter for it. Well, I still haven't found a PS2 adapter. But, as you can see, we're making progress here onto floppy 5. So, I'll just let this keep running and keep looking for the PS2 adapter. Well, we've certainly made progress. It's going through now and asking me what various DOS programs are. That's the DOS editor. It asked me about installing printers, which I didn't have any to install. It's adding QBasic, various other programs. How to use Windows and the mouse. Let's go ahead. No, I don't have a serial mouse installed, and I don't honestly know if the one I have here. Did a bit of research. I was wrong thinking there was a PS2 to serial. There's USB to PS2. So I've got an old school ball mouse here that's PS2. And I have a cable from my Atari ST that adapts the Atari ST mouse. I seriously doubt this is going to work, but I thought I'd give it a shot. ahead and restart the computer. I'm assuming floppy 7 and 8 in the Windows install package are probably for various printers and network cards and that kind of stuff. I have serious doubts that this serial adapter is going to do anything. There's no mouse. I don't think there's any mouse drivers actually on here either. And there isn't. Oh, there it is. It's just astronomically slow. Yeah, there's no mouse driver loaded. Like I say, I seriously doubt that adapter is going to work. I don't believe normal serial mice work on the ST. Mouse, I think that's just run Windows install to set up a mouse. Boy, it's been a long time since I've mucked around in Windows 3.1. Yeah, it's all music. Alt S, exit. No mouse or pointing device. Options. Add new Windows components. I'm not sure where you would attempt to attach. Display VGA. Actually, don't want to do that. Options. Change network type applications. Change system settings. Didn't read far enough. Insert disk with mouse driver. That's okay. Alt options. Exit. remember how to close a window like that. Well, anyhow, it's progress. I actually have, as you can see, Windows 3.1 running on the machine. It's certainly progress. Anyhow, I will see if I can solve the mouse issue, though I doubt it'll happen today, and I'll come back to it.